Hello and welcome. The US wants India to do more to further isolate North Korea. But the message from New Delhi is clear. Thus far and no further. WION takes a look at the state of play in the India-North Korea relations. The latest missile test by North Korea this week provoked the US ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, to ask all countries to cut off diplomatic ties with North Korea.
The continuing development of these missile systems demands that countries further isolate the Kim regime. So today, we call on all nations to cut off all ties with North Korea. In addition to fully implementing all UN sanctions, all countries should sever diplomatic relations with North Korea and limit military, scientific, technical, or commercial cooperation. They must also cut off trade with the regime by stopping all imports and exports and expel all North Korean workers.
As if on cue, Germany's Foreign Minister Sigmar Gabriel announced in Washington that Berlin was scaling down its mission in Pyongyang. But Moscow remains defiant.
We take a negative view on this. We have stressed many times that the sanctions regime has exhausted itself. All resolutions which were introduced included an obligatory requirement to renew the political process, to renew the talks. And this is the exact requirement that was completely ignored by the Americans. I think this is a big mistake.
New Delhi has rejected the US calls to sever ties with Pyongyang too. India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj let her American counterpart know exactly where India stands on the issue.
जहाँ तक ट्रेड का संबंध है, हमारा और डीपीआरके का ट्रेड बहुत कम हो गया है, बहुत ही कम हो गया है. अगर मैं मिनिमल कहूँ तो गलत नहीं होगा. और जहाँ तक एम्बेसी का सवाल है, हमारी एम्बेसी का साइज वहाँ बहुत छोटा है, लेकिन एम्बेसी है. और मैंने सेक्रेटरी टिलरसन से कहा कि आपके कुछ मित्र देशों की एम्बेसी वहाँ रहनी चाहिए, ताकि कम से कम कुछ चैनल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन खुले रहें.
India was among a handful of countries that were invited to a briefing by Pyongyang after it conducted the 6th nuclear test on the 3rd of September. Adhering to the UN Security Council sanctions resolutions, India has banned all trade except food and medicine with North Korea with effect from April this year. India provided food assistance to North Korea in the form of soya beans worth $1 million through the World Food Programme in 2016. India had provided food assistance worth another $1 million through the World Food Programme in 2011 too. The last Foreign Office consultations between India and North Korea were held in New Delhi in April last year. In 2015, the then North Korean Foreign Minister Ri Soo-yong had visited India on a bilateral and standalone visit. It was the first ever ministerial level visit from North Korea to India in nearly 3 decades. Ramesh Ramachandran for WION. And to discuss more about this story, I'm now joined by WION's senior foreign editor, Padma Rao. Padma, we've seen the US exert pressure on all countries in the world, including India. But what India can actually do under the circumstances?
Well, I think India is located at a vantage position because India has kept the avenues of dialogue open through maintenance of an embassy in Pyongyang, which the Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj clearly enunciated. And I think that was also an indirect hint to the United States, not that India will act as a mediator, because India does not get involved in what are essentially bilateral issues between two other countries, or in this case even a trilateral or multilateral issue, which pertains to the South China Seas. But at the same time, and I think that is the avenue, and that is the precise reason why the United States has repeatedly requested, or not, requested, but in no plain terms made it clear that they want India to play some sort of a role. I think what the United States are trying to do is be the one to make the noise, be the one to make the threatening noises, the war sounds, the war cries, and at the same time try and initiate a level of dialogue with Pyongyang, because if the United States were to do that itself, as in speak President Donald Trump himself, then it might be seen as a capitulation by the United States. And I don't think that India is going to accept that role as an intermediary or as a mediator, because as foreign policy is concerned, Ramesh, and you watch foreign policy very closely, you know that India has always maintained a very neutral stand to whichever extent possible on most countries, and has not bowed to the pressures of international coalitions or international accesses, if you like.
Also, Padma, we've saw and heard Nikki Haley speak in the United Nations Security Council earlier this week. And most recently, Germany's foreign minister has indicated Germany will scale down its mission in Pyongyang. So what's the current state of play so far as North Korea is concerned?
Well, I mean, in the United Nations itself, Madam Sushma Swaraj had made it very clear in September when she was there for the United Nations General Assembly. She did say, without mentioning any words, any countries, that she was worried at the extent to which North Korea was firing off all these missiles, and also questioned, indirectly where North Korea was getting this missile technology from. Now, we know that Russia and China do maintain relations with North Korea, and that there is even a border that Russia shares with North Korea. And there have been reports from think tanks, both in the United States as well as from the Technical University of Germany. We will be playing that out during the course of this evening on WION, as we have followed the story very closely. And they have both said that it is, there is a Russian company in the Ukraine which might be responsible for delivering at least the missile engines. And this is a company that is broke. It's been looking for avenues to sell its products, and this may have been one of those avenues. Now, a former member of the company has denied it, but having said that, it has been confirmed at least by two very responsible think tanks. So this is something that Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj did hint at, and India's spokesman reiterated what she said later at a press conference, and he also pointed out, he said, I don't think we need to spell out very clearly whom she meant, and I think we've given you a very large, suggestion, hint, and it's up to you to work out the logistics. So I think we all know that what they're speaking of really is the possibility, the likelihood that Pakistan has not ceased to be a supplier of technology. Earlier in 2011, it was nuclear technology for which their nuclear scientist A.Q. Khan was disgraced and placed under house arrest. But who knows, that cooperation may never have stopped, and it may now have, crossed over to missile technology. Because as you know, Ramesh, missiles are not, they don't come as one big component in a toy box. They're made of nuts and bolts and a million, small pieces, which are assembled from sources all over the world.
All right, Padma, we leave it at that. That was WION's senior foreign editor, Padma Rao, with all the latest from the newsroom. All right, in more news from India now, Patels continue to dominate politics in Gujarat, whether it is in the form of Asmita embedded in memory of Sardar Patel or the disruptive Patidar agitation, which has given a fillip to the Congress campaign. WION takes a tour of the Patel-dominated village of Karamsad, where India's first Home Minister, Sardar Patel, spent his formative years. And for more of the story, I'm now joined by WION's Karthikeya Sharma from the ground in Gujarat. Good evening, Karthikeya. Give us a flavor, if you will, of the mood where you are. How are the campaign shaping up, both in the BJP camp as well as in the Congress camp?
See, when it comes to the Congress camp, I think I would say that this is the first election in past 15 years I have seen where Congress seems to be giving a fight to Bharatiya Janata Party. But it does not mean that the Bharatiya Janata Party is weak. What's happening is that the margin is coming down. If you look at the market estimates, you'll be very surprised, Ramesh, that the markets for the Bharatiya Janata Party is giving them 105 seats and Congress more than 75, which means that the election has gone down to the wire. It will ultimately boil down to booth management and nothing else, because in terms of the agitation which the Patidar or the Patels have done, it has completely changed the dynamics of the state. And Congress too, on the other hand, has ensured that the election is not polarized on either emotive issue or, as we say, the issue of Asmita, which roughly translates as a pride in English, or something which has to do with the Prime Minister, because the more you attack him directly in Gujarat, the worse you do. So in that case, this is first election. I covered 2007, 2012. I think this is the first election I have seen where Congress has given a good fight to Bharatiya Janata Party. It's really close.
It's really close, says Karthikeya Sharma. Thank you, Karthikeya, for your input. That was WION's Karthikeya Sharma joining us from Gujarat. With that, it's a wrap on this bulletin, but news continues here on WION. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.